Okay, it's on there.
I told the secretary to call Rebecca, but here she is. Maybe have her call her again.
Just get her in and settled quick.
Okay, Janine, Bess, Laura, and Becca Lewis, right?
Just send her the link or through email. How
You
are you
should
doing
be
it?
ringing.
Just get her in and settled quick.
All right, we will be starting in just a few short moments. We're still working on getting some teachers set up on the live call. If you can just bear with us. I am going to mute my microphone, so if you think there's no sound, there is actual sound or should be. I'm just turning my mic off so you don't hear me sit here and breathe while we wait.
Should show up with you. Okay. There at the bottom.
So I'm going to email it to them.
Yes. And I will turn my camera off and I will go tell them.
Okay, it works. If you will open up your email. Everybody get that link in your email? Go ahead and click on that link. It'll take you to live Google Hangout. I just sent another one. Okay, everybody got it? We're going live. Just get in and why don't you go ahead and get started in there?
We can see them. Okay, got it. Welcome everybody in Greenwood School District 50. We are excited to share with you today what has happened in Technology Cohort. First of all, I have to say a big thank you to everyone at Northside. What a wonderful reception you gave us. And then to the teachers, all the diligent work that you did to prepare for today, and for your observers, thank you. We can't say thank you enough for all your hard work. Those of you who did get to observe, if you would make sure that you're adding your information to 81-, it's important to give different perspectives for what we have observed today. It's been an amazing experience to see students engaged and to see teachers coming out of their comfort zone and sharing. So make sure, if you were an observer, to add your information. If you weren't an observer, I hope as you listen today and hear from the teachers who were our presenters, that you will ask questions. Greta will be working with me to share your questions and comments so that we can make this a productive time for our live Google Hangout on air. Again, this is exciting times for us to be able to share with you, and we look forward to the feedback you can give us on 81-. Let's see if our team is ready to go. Give us just one moment. Okay. When we use technology, there's always those glitches or things that happen, but we've got a great team over here getting everyone together to make it happen. So thank you, everyone, for your patience. And as you use technology in your classroom, you're going to hit glitches, but that's persevering and continuing to try is what's going to make it meaningful and exciting at the same time. And then you're going to look back and be able to say, hey, I made it through. So I think we are ready to go. Bess, Janine, Laura, and Rebecca, are we all there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I don't hear any sound. Can you turn your sound up?
I think we all waved. Can
You got it? Okay.
You hear us now?
And as you use technology in your classroom, you're going to hit glitches, but persevering. Okay. Let's go ahead and have each one of you introduce yourself. Give us your name, what you teach, and then just a really brief synopsis of what you shared with the observers today. Let's go ahead and go in order of the lessons that you taught. We'll start with you, Bess.
Okay, I teach 6th grade ELA, and we did a debate today, and the topic was whether or not animals should be used for medical testing. We use polls everywhere and polled the students at the beginning, and then in the middle, after their initial introducing of their claims and evidence, we polled again, and then in the meantime, the kids were on today's meet, and they were commenting on questions that were being asked. So they all saw each other's and commented, and then we polled at the end. You want me to tell them about what the polling should be, or what it was? It started out in the middle after their initial introducing of their claims and evidence. We polled again, and then in the meantime, the kids were on.
Okay. How about let's hear from Janine.
Hi, I'm Janine Webb, and I teach Avid Science 7th and 8th grade. And today, my observers came into my 8th grade science class, and they were reviewing for their test. So they did learning stations. There were 3 different stations. There were 3 different stations. Each station, the instructions were given through QR codes, and each station was used some type of app or technology that the children were familiar with. They used Poplet. Show Me, and Pick Collage.
Okay, and Laura.
I'm Laura Bentley. I teach 7th grade Avid Math and 6th and 7th grade Avid Elective. And my students were working towards a math human habits project that will lead them to practice. Students were gathering information and having to make a decision on whether or not to continue football programs at a certain district. They had documents that they had to read and gather information about the cost of stadiums and make a debate or make an argument based on whether they think it should be eliminated or continued using math. They had to support it with some math information, not just their opinion. And the students collected information and began making presentations that they will share before we have a Socratic seminar.
Okay, Rebecca.
My name is Rebecca Lewis, and I teach 7th grade social studies, and my kids were working on the beginning stages of a year-long project where they are developing museums that talk about how what we are studying now impacts their lives today.
Okay, ladies. One of the things that, as we reflect, really looking at what worked well. When you look at each one of your lessons, What worked well? What excited you about that lesson? Take it in any order you would like.
I think that watching the kids work and take ownership of their projects and knowing that it's something that they're going to be able to build on all year long was exciting, and getting to see
Okay,
their
ladies.
creative ideas.
I think the highlight of my lesson was the blog at the end, the reflection. When I went back and read the reflections, and the students were really honest about what they learned, what helped them, what some things that they were clarified after they did the review, and what they would like for me to put in a station the next time. They took a couple of standards that they said they wished we had in the station, so I'll know how to plan for next week.
I think it was the connection that the students made when we first started the project. They couldn't understand why we were doing an AVID strategy and a math problem all at the same time. They usually try to compartmentalize those two things. And just seeing them make the connection that, hey, I can use some of the things I learned in my elective class in my math class, and it's going to help me understand the content better.
And for as far as my lesson went with the debate, I think today's meet was a good opportunity for the kids to think about the debate and engage in the debate, and even bounce ideas off each other beyond just the debaters. And many of them did change their minds throughout the debate.
Mm-hmm. After seeing some of these amazing tools and how they integrated the curriculum, I think it is important for us to take a couple minutes to be able to talk about the tools that you used, because the power of how the students utilize those really brought about your curriculum. So let's start with you, Bess. Let's talk about the tools that you used in your classroom. And was it difficult? Was it hard? And how would you encourage others to use that? Give us a little bit of feedback from what you think about your tools.
Well, it actually was pretty easy, and the kids caught on very quickly. They definitely enjoyed it. They were engaged, and I would recommend it. I could see it being used as a tool for reviewing and having students add to the concepts and explain the concepts to each other and discuss where their hiccups are. I like the debate part too, because it did kind of challenge the debaters as well to be a little stronger in their point when the poll or the side changed from like pro. It started out being very con. The middle it was about equal, and at the end it was more pro. So I think that instant feedback, that conversation among the students is very important.
Janine?
Repeat the question.
Thinking about the tools that you used, were they difficult? How would you encourage other teachers to use them? How did they make your lesson?
The tools were very easy to use. I use QR stuff to design the QR codes, and that's a free download on the computer. The apps, the students have become comfortable with them because they're not only using them in my class, but they're using them across the board in other classes. So it's becoming, pretty normal language to say, show me, and they know exactly what to do, how to log in, how to use it in whatever content they're using it in. Mm-hmm. Yes, I would recommend to use them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Laura.
Yeah, they were using a variety of tools to gather their notes. Some of the children decided to use notes. Some were using Google Docs, and had just started beginning the presentations today. So we used either Prezi or Google presentation to use those.
And Rebecca.
Well, we were using basic PowerPoint on ours, and we were using shape fill and line draw to create the rooms. We chose to use PowerPoint instead of presentation because presentation did not have the textures that we wanted. We could not first get all of the images for all of the different topics. So we're hoping maybe next year to switch to Google Presentation. But for right now, PowerPoint is something that the kids are familiar with. It was just using it in a different way.
Okay. I loved the engagement that we saw with the students actively making choices and being engaged in the lesson. But what was even more incredible was their thinking. Could you just, each of you, talk a little bit about the deeper thinking that you try to provide for your students through your lessons?
I wanted them to get to the point where they could take the content that was that we had previously learned and recreate.
Yeah.
So all of the apps that we use today, they had to create from previous knowledge. So they had to have the background knowledge, and if they were confused or didn't have an understanding, they had their science interactive notebook with them where they quickly flip through which as a resource. So it made them responsible for the prior knowledge, the prior note-taking skills, and the prior activities to complete this activity for today.
Yeah.
As far as for me, I feel like when initially they were researching and reading the information, they had to really go through it and decide what would be the claims that would be most important and what evidence would back up those claims to present their side.
Used didn't have an understanding, they had their science interactive notebook with them where they quickly
Take it away, Laura.
as a resource.
We had the same type of thing happen with the research. Students had to come up with their argument, base it on the facts that they found. But I saw a lot of different things happening with their thinking. It became not just a money issue anymore about whether to continue or eliminate the programs. They started thinking about football being a tradition in their family and football being more of a social event or a way to get scholarships to get into college. But they started seeing the value of the program more than just for the dollar amount. So their positions changed and they became more positions of passion and not just based on the dollar figures alone.
In our class, the kids had already learned the information, and it was more of a review for them. They had to take the information and decide what does it mean for them today. So part of it was getting them to understand that we don't just study history so we know what happened. It's not just story time. It impacts their lives today. And the hope is that when they do that, they'll have more of a buy-in into social studies and see more of a value than just a bunch of old people, you know, who did something that maybe they should know about.
No, very well said, ladies. What happened in today's lessons that surprised you? What student responses or engagement by the students surprised you?
Well, I think one of the things that surprised me was one of my debaters that was on the con side. Of course, I signed the roll, or the sides. They researched both sides first, but then I signed the sides. At the end, one of those con debaters actually had changed her mind and was pro, was for animal testing. I thought that was very interesting.
One of my students had done some research and decided that economically it was a bad decision to continue the program. He said, but I really feel passionate about, keeping the program. So what am I going to do?
Yeah.
It's kind of neat to see him change. He knew that the facts supported that maybe it wasn't the best thing going on for their district, but he started looking at it from a different perspective, that maybe it's not just about dollars and sense. Maybe he had to come up with a different idea about how he was going to present his argument, even though the facts were stacked against him.
When I went back and analyzed the feedback from Kids Blog, the kids' responses, I was surprised at how many of them I had chosen the standards that we went over today based on their quizzes and the ones that they were weak in. So I was just surprised for them to admit I did not understand this until today, that clarification today, and then requesting to do it again with another standard. So they really enjoyed it and they got a lot out of it.
I think I wasn't as much surprised as I was very pleased at how well and how comfortable my students were explaining the project to the adults. There was a lot of adults in the room, and instead of being overwhelmed, whenever anybody asked them a question, they could explain what they were doing with their project, why they were doing it, and answer about why they had chosen that image. And so I was very happy about that.
Ladies, these projects are awesome with the student involvement and being able to come in and be an involved part of the process. How do you get that flow of information going from you to your students and for them turning that information back into you? How do you deal with that in your classroom?
Can you rephrase the question?
I felt like they had to take the and pick out what was most important and present that in order to persuade their audience to their side. So I felt like there was a lot of analytical reading there.
Their final products, they have a folder in Google Drive for me, and that's what they send it to their Google Drive folder so I can access it. We share it that way.
That's not
Right now, they're submitting through Edmodo, and that's how I will do the small checks as well as checking with them as they're working. But in the end, we'll set up a website where all of the PowerPoints will be listed, and the kids will get an opportunity to go and tour everyone else's museum and then vote on the best one, because the project is that it's a competition to see whose design will be selected. And so they'll all be posted, they'll tour, and they'll vote.
Okay. Here's a question we have from our 81- channel, and I want to encourage everyone out there, continue sending in your questions and giving your feedback. This is a great way to share and collaborate. We had one question from Josh. In a year-long project, how do you handle kids who always seem to think that they have time?
That's me.
Let me read it again. In a year-long project, how do you handle kids who always seem to think they have time?
Well, most of this project is actually going to be done in the classroom, so it's not something that they're doing at home. And we are doing spot checks on it, so they have to have certain amounts completed by certain days, and there are certain things that I'm looking for. So there is a rubric with the overall project and what I'm expecting, but the kids know on this day I'm going to check for this, and it has to be done. So it's divided into small parts.
Okay. Anyone else?
Year-long project.
Okay. That's all right. We had a question from Ted. During debates, do you ever have all of the students choose one side? How do you deal with that?
Well, I chose who would take the pro and who would take the con. Now, before they knew what side they were on, they had to read the material not knowing and find their claims and some evidence based on they could be chosen for either side. But no, I'm not sure if I understand whether you mean I would give them both sides pro.
Or if the
No,
kids,
the
if
whole
the
group
kids,
got to choose
if you got
everybody the same side, and they didn't have anybody to argue.
Oh,
How
well,
would you handle that?
I would just sign the sides.
Yeah, I've had that happen before, and
Mhm.
we ask for one to three volunteers that will take the other side to begin the discussion to see. And if nobody's really willing to volunteer, then I take the opposite side.
Okay. In looking back over today, lots of great things happened. Was there ever a point where you thought, oh, I would do this differently, or I might take a different approach? Did any of you ladies have those thoughts? And if you did, what would you have done?
Well, I think with the debaters, it might have been nice for them to have the iPads and be able to comment as well, especially when they weren't presenting their side, and also to be able to view the comments that the audience were inputting.
Okay. Anyone else? Which one, Danita? Okay, we have another question from 81 Dash. Will students graph their findings about the cost for their math assignments? If yes, is there any specific technology they will use to do that?
Right. Yes, they are expected to. The rubric includes that they do have to have some type of graphic, either a chart or some type of equation that they create as part of the math piece of the project. So yes, and as far as technology, they'll either use Excel or they'll use the graph creator and do the presentation or PowerPoint, whichever they choose to use.
Okay. As our final question, ladies, if you could encourage the teachers of our cohort to jump in and to embrace the technology in your curriculum, what advice would you give them?
It won't always work perfect. We tried something on Monday with another class in a lab, a piece of technology that I had never really, I mean, I'd done a little experimenting with it over the weekend, but we tried it as a group. Decided it really wasn't something we're going to use, but it wasn't a wasted day. We still got the information that we needed. We just chose to do a different route than to use that particular app.
and take small bits.
Yeah.
Do it in small increments, small bits, a little bit. Don't overwhelm yourself. Hook onto one and go with it. And after that gets going, you can add another.
Any other words of wisdom? Well, I do want to thank each of you ladies for the tremendous hard work that you did. Phenomenal things happened today. Thank you for being a part of the process. And I do want to encourage the rest of our technology cohort to jump in and try something new. And be a helping hand to those around you. I think I'm getting some feedback. Ladies, did I jump in too soon and someone didn't get to give their input?
No, they're fine.
Are you sure?
Let's play with Ken.
I want you to be able to share. Those of you who are on 81 Dash and watching live, thank you for joining us. Continue to add your input on the comment board. Go back and look at the information that was given throughout the day. It was very valuable, and we will continue to be putting links to information that was shared. We took pictures and video from today, so I'll be sharing those through email or also through 81 Dash. Until next time, keep trying your best, taking that next baby step, and excited for great things that are going on in Greenwood 50. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
I have a minor in communication. I do. I have a minor in that.